Hi, I'm Kamali, taking you through some of the things people are talking about and some of the stuff they're sharing around the world on NewsFeed today. Ilhan Omar in trouble again for being critical of the government of Israel. Uganda's government has already taxed social media. Now they want to censor musicians. Returning to its rightful home, Britain gives back something it stole from Ethiopia. And animals doing stuff are at threat of never doing anything again. Well, at the top of our newsfeed, Ilhan Omar. The Muslim congresswoman has to deal with Islamophobia online and in real life and has been under pressure from people in her own party for not towing the party line. Now, she's already had to apologise once after being accused of being anti-Semitic, and now she's being bounced into saying sorry again. And her crime? The reason people call her an anti-Semite? Because she's critical of the government of Israel. Muslim Congresswoman Ilhan Omar faces being rebuked by her own party for comments some say are anti-Semitic. She was speaking at an event in Washington, D.C. a few days ago, and during a discussion on Israel and the US's uncritical support for the government of Benjamin Netanyahu, she said this.
I want to talk about the political influence in this country that says it is okay for people to push for allegiance to a foreign country.
Jewish Insider published the quote that was picked up by Jonathan Chait for New York Magazine. He wrote,
"Accusing Jews of allegiance to a foreign country is a historically classic way of delegitimizing their participation in the political system. Omar is directly invoking the hoary myth of dual loyalty, in which Americanness of Jews is inherently suspect."
And now people within her own party have written a resolution outlining how they condemn language like this. The resolution does not mention Ilhan Omar by name, but Twitter has responded to the news, making #IStandWithIlhan a top trend.
Legitimate criticism of Israel isn't anti-Semitism. It's a First Amendment right. Sad to see House Democrats spend more energy condemning Ilhan Omar than denouncing the racist attacks against her and the very real anti-Semitism from Jim Jordan and Steve King. #IStandWithIlhan.
This is spineless and further highlights the corruption of the party, not a condemnation of the Islamophobic threats on her life or the frequent anti-Semitism of GOP folks, but this. Remember these politicians when they come to you for votes next time. #IStandWithIlhan.
Ilhan Omar is one of only 2 Muslim congresswomen. She's had to apologise about perceived anti-Semitism before. Last month, she wrote this, saying she was learning about the use of anti-Semitic tropes. But now her latest comments are being used as evidence against her. However, she's not changing her position. She tweeted,
"Being opposed to Netanyahu and the occupation is not the same as being anti-Semitic. I am grateful to the many Jewish allies who have spoken out and said the same."
The question for the Democratic Party is, will they allow a Muslim member to challenge a US political orthodoxy that Israel cannot be criticised? Well, a social media tax in Uganda has successfully stopped people there using the internet in a blow to freedom of speech and progress in a country that has a young and dynamic population. The next measure that the Museveni government wants to bring in is even more draconian and has been criticised by people all over the globe. Here's Isabel.
Clapping back at plans to legislate against his lyrics, the musician Dr. Hilderman believes Uganda's government is trying to control the country's entertainment industry. Incoming rules would require artists to have their lyrics and scripts approved by politicians. It also blocks them from performing outside of Uganda unless given clearance to do so.
People must acknowledge that an artist is given a gift by God. Even the artist doesn't know. The artist just develops that art, but God gave him the gift. So I believe you cannot give me a script of what to sing.
Some of Dr. Hilderman's lyrics speak out against social injustice. He believes the recent regulations against artists are meant to clamp down on musicians like him, but he says this won't stop him from producing his style of music. But other artists are likely to be deterred. The timing of these proposed new controls is being questioned. They come just weeks after the release of Bobi Wine's song Tuliyambale Ngule, deemed critical of the government as it talks about corruption and high poverty rates. The musician turned politician has a huge following in Uganda because of his music, and Dr. Hilderman featured in the song.
Anyway, the bottom line of everything is that we need to sing. We sing reality. If it's that song that caused all those things, all the regulations, then we scored, because our role is to represent society. If that's real, we sang what we are going through.
The government says it needs to check the quality of what goes on air and denies it's doing anything wrong. But this is just the latest measure that artists feel is a deliberate attempt to silence them. 6 months ago, the government introduced a social media tax. Ugandans are charged 50 cents each day they use the likes of Twitter, Facebook or WhatsApp. That has seen social media usage drop, which has an impact on an artist's reach.
Social media has been really big on our side, promoting our shows, our music, quite a lot of stuff, because we don't use radio anymore. Because of the digital era, people have shifted. Many young guys were so much on social media. So in a way, it is curtailing even the sales of the ticket. People come to the live shows, they've come down because of the tax.
A recent report by the Uganda Communications Commission shows that internet usage dropped by 2.5 million users after the tax was introduced.
It's a very small number of people who are paying. Similarly, there are quite a number of people who are avoiding paying that tax for several reasons, out of sheer dislike for the tax, but also simply because they cannot afford the new arrangement that is in place.
For now, musicians like Dr. Hilderman say they will continue hitting their notes to ensure their voices are heard. But Uganda's government describes the guidelines as a necessity and insists it needs to check all song lyrics before they can be broadcast, setting themselves on a collision course with their nation's creative community.
Okay, let's take a look at some of the other things that have caught our eye on social media.
Yeah, well, I just don't believe in winning through intimidation. Plus, of course, I'm doing the intimidating. Friend, what's wrong?
Everything.
It's not the end of the world. Your parents will get over it.
Hey, man. Hey, buddy. Right on. Come on in. Oh, it's good to see you. How you doing, brother? What are you doing?
From everyone's bad boy heartthrob to everyone's best friend, Luke Perry made his mark as Dylan Mackay in the cast of the 90s TV drama Beverly Hills 90210. Luke Perry was 52 and died last week from a stroke, surrounded by family members. And online, his famous fans have been sharing their favourite memories and sending their love. Facebook have admitted they lied about the number of children under the age of 18 that were using its research app. Facebook originally said only 5% of people they used for a project, which gave them full access to a person's phone, were teenagers. Now they admit that was a lie. The number is actually 18%. Facebook paid people $20 for access to everything they did on their phones. The scheme was deemed so unethical, the app was called Research, and it was eventually banned by Apple. Now, fashionistas can be an annoying and strange bunch, and when you see the latest thing they're trying to sell to people with more money than sense, you will agree. Watch this. And sticking with interesting fashion choices to India now, where the drums of war have quieted somewhat for the moment. So some have decided to declare war on their faces by growing some really bad mustaches in a tribute piece. Here's a Kanksha.
This handlebar mustache has become a symbol of nationalism for men in India. Inspired by Indian pilot Wing Commander Abhinandan Vardhaman, who was freed by Pakistan last week.
Face cutting, his face is similar to mine, and this is why I thought of changing my look, inspired by him.
We respect to Wing Commander Abhinandan, so that's why we are doing all these things, because we can't go in that place. So our original hero is gone there. He came back from Pakistan.
The Indian pilot became a national hero after he was captured by Pakistani forces when his fighter jet was shot down. People were jubilant when he was released, tweeting pictures of themselves with matching mustache styles. Brands were quick to try and turn the trend into cash. As the hostility between two nations rose, the Indian pilot's calm demeanor was praised across the border. And the humor brought some respite from saber rattling. Looks like #Abhinandan Mustache is here to stay.
Okay, it's been around the world now for some other stories you need to know this Tuesday. Footage of an avalanche in Colorado in the US has been doing the rounds online. As you can see, it's pretty impressive, and thankfully no one was hurt. Even more amazing, the road remained open. The British Museum is returning a lock of hair soldiers from the British Army looted from the body of an Ethiopian emperor in the 19th century. The hair was cut from the head of Emperor Tewodros II and taken to the UK among other stolen artefacts. It's part of the British Empire's policy of looting significant cultural treasures from civilizations in Africa and elsewhere around the world as a way of maintaining and strengthening their racist ideas of superiority. Ethiopia is one of a number of nations demanding their property be returned. And last up, a more somber animals doing stuff, and these animals are facing extinction. The Indonesian government are bowing to pressure from China and allowing a new dam to be built in the Batang Toru forests. The dam will flood the habitat of a rare orangutan species, the Pongo tapanulensis. There are said to be only 800 of them left in the world, and they were only discovered back in November. Now, scientists say they are distinctive from their Sumatran cousins by, among other things, frizzier hair. So they need to be protected, for their hairdos at least. And that will be all from the NewsFeed team. You'll find us 24/7 on Twitter and YouTube, and you can follow me on Instagram if you want. Follow, subscribe, and add. See you again tomorrow.